I got into this career space. Like I said, I got involved, thanks, you and I both joined, John Rothschild here, joined Launchpad back in the middle part of the last decade. And I don't look like anybody else who does what I do. Okay, I am a recovering engineer. Yes, they have a 12-step program for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a step-by-step process that I want you to do for the rest of your life. The whole concept here is jobs are not forever anymore. In fact, a lot of what you're seeing is a lot of this work that you're going to find is very project-based. And projects come to an end. So I came up with this metaphor of looking at your career from a turkey's perspective. Okay, turkeys. They are born into sterile environments here in the U.S. The butcher for 3 years takes care of them, feeds them. Life is wonderful. Every day is better than the last. Until the fourth Thursday in November. When suddenly it ain't so good to be a turkey. So I'll use the example. I worked for IBM in the 1990s. 1992, I was fat, dumb, and happy. In fact, I ruptured a disc in my back Christmas of '92. And I decided to take 3 months off and let my back heal. Oh, anybody who worked for IBM back then? Yep. We went through near bankruptcy. So by the time I walked back in early April, probably a quarter of my colleagues had been told to go retire. They were given bridge. Some were laid off. The concept of full employment was gone. Like that. Boom. Okay, let's use another good example. What would have been like to work for Enron back in 2001? Right? You were told that you were golden. You were wonderful. Well, we know how that ended. Similarly, when I left IBM, I went to work for a semiconductor startup, Europe, and we were purchased by Lucid. Anybody remember Lucid? Mm-hmm. The most widely held stock in the world. You've never seen a company so screwed up in your life. Well, back then, I remember Nortel was trying to sell their. They were trying to sell their fiber, optical fiber unit, and they thought they were headed on sale for $3 billion. By the way, back then, in 1999, if you were an optical engineer, you were golden. It was a wonderful time. By the way, Nortel sold that unit for $50 million. Well, what happened was the technology, they figured out how to put up to 10 times more data on the same fiber that was already down. By 2001, 2002, I believe something like 90% of the fiber under the Atlantic was dark. They had laid so much fiber. And eventually it all got used, but it took a long time. So suddenly, there you were, an optical engineer, and one day you are fat, dumb, and happy, and the next day, whoops. And the last one I'm going to talk about is, what if you'd been a petroleum engineer 2 years ago? You were, when oil was $100 a barrel, things were really good. This is why if you go down to Houston right now, there's been a lot of layoffs. And they thought they were golden. So the concept is, all of these people, and I included, I have been a turkey. The idea is you have to be looking forward to what the trends are happening and always be ready to be able to move on. Now, what I'm going to give you here is something I call the targeted job search, and that is build a target list of companies. So one of the ways I want you to look at yourself is I want you to look at yourself as a consultant. You solve problems for your employer. I want you to get real clear on what are the problems you solve. Okay? And then what we want to do is we want to find companies that have those problems. And you're going to build a list of companies. And by the way, I don't care whether they're looking for employees right now. I don't care whether they're hiring. I want you to be able to understand who can I go to next. So when suddenly you become a turkey, you know exactly where to go. So the important thing you have to remember is, and some people will, a huge percentage of jobs are found through referrals. Now, by the way, this is all hiring, and my recruiters can verify this, is all about risk mitigation. The safest hire is an internal candidate. The second safest hire is an external candidate with an employee referral. We're cool about this. Yes. I mean, it's just, the idea is we want someone who'll say, this guy, John, he really knows his shit. Excuse my French. Okay. We're also to the point where 80% of jobs don't get posted. Now, things like state government, university, I recently had a client get hired by Central Health. They're all fair hiring. They're going to post jobs. What's happening today, if I'm an employer, and let's say I'm going to hire somebody in January. Okay, here we are in October. You think I'm thinking about that job right now? So if you can get to me as a hiring manager and say, by the way, I can solve your problems, you think you'll get hired? Probably. So the problem is today, most of the time, the first thing a hiring manager is going to do is going to go to their employees and say, you know anybody good? Second thing they're going to go is they're going to go out to their HR folks, their recruiters, and say, go find me the best candidate. Now, in the old days, what would happen is they post something, they would apply, people would apply, they would then go interview. Today, they're out looking for people. And they don't care that you're not looking for a job. They're outsourcing. So, the key thing here is, and this data comes from the Candide study of 19, I believe this is 2015. For every job that is posted, there are 180 applicants on average. In that, and you can't really tell, but there are 4 little red men down there. There will be, of the 180, there will be 4 employee referrals. On average, half the pool will be deemed as not qualified, which will include 2 of the employee referrals. They will interview 5 people, which will include the 2 employee referrals. So, without an employee referral, your chances of getting in really small. Gary O'Neill, who's been here multiple times, and I've got his video on the homepage of the Launchpad, and I control the website for Launchpad. One of the things in my discussions with him, he talks his interview process called QIA. First, they're looking to see if people are qualified. They're outsourcing. So they're looking at resume databases. They're looking at your LinkedIn profile. They're looking for qualified candidates. What deems qualified? It's based on the search terms they're using. Do you have the right keywords in your profile? Then they're looking to say whether you're interested. Well, how do I know someone's interested? I might call up John here and say, hey, you interested? And he may be having a bad day. He may say, get a recruiter on the phone. Go away. Leave me alone.
You'll message me on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
At least one a week, if not 2 or 3.
And the idea here is, based on how they reach out, and whether, and by the way, one of the problems I run in my own business is, are my emails getting stuck in my spam filter? By the way, little promo here. I make no money from this. I now have I use a product called SaneBox, SANE, Costs me about $60 a year. It filters my inbox, but one of the cool things it does is it goes out my spam filter. It goes in my spam and finds stuff that shouldn't be there. Cool. And it by the way, it filters out all of my news, and newsletters, and other stuff. So my inbox actually stays pretty small. It saves me a ton of time. Okay, so the idea here is, and the last thing is are you available? That is an incredibly inaccurate and fraught with danger process of how hiring. So what I'm going to tell you is most hiring today is broken. So what I'm going to tell you is I want you to target the company, not the job. I want you to find those companies that are capable of hiring you. And start positioning yourself as a consultant. This is a very, very different approach. So the idea here is you always have a target list of companies. And I recommend it may be as many as 25. And what I want you to do is start finding out who works at these companies and start developing relationships. So number one, LinkedIn is your friend. So who's used LinkedIn Advanced Search? Okay, you need to get really good at this. So what I'm going to do here, first thing, if I go into LinkedIn Advanced Search is the location. Where am I going to search? I want to search based if I'm here, if I want in Austin. And by the way, there are 2 ways of doing this. I can either search by location, which will say the location that people put in their LinkedIn profile, or I can, if I plug in not anywhere, but I can plug in a zip code. If you're going to plug in a zip code, I want you to plug in a zip code at the center of where you want to work. Not where you live, where you want to work. In other words, if you live in Leander and you're willing to take anything in the Austin area, you're going to plug in 78701. That's downtown. So it's not necessarily your home zip code, but the center of where you want to work. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to come in the title field. And you're going to plug in a job title. So one of the things I want you to get used to is what job title do you want? We cool with this? And you're going to find out all the different job titles. Now, on your LinkedIn profile today, who doesn't have a current position? Come on, I know some of you don't. Okay. What recruiters do is they search on current job title. If you don't have a current job title, you will not be found. So on your LinkedIn profile, what I want you to do, if you don't have a current job, create one. For the longest time, I used to have Global Basis Consulting. I owned the globalbasis.com domain for a while. And that was my job. If I was ever unemployed, that was my company. Go create a company. If you want to, get on LegalZoom, do an LLC. By the way, my company, Career Pivot, I'm actually Marc Miller Associates LLC. And then I have DBAs as Career Pivot, and I have DBAs as Career Pivot Publishing. You should do the same. That way you always have a current company. So they're searching on job title, and by the way, in your current job title, I want you to put every variation of that job title. So, I work with a lot of product managers. You're a product manager, put product manager. Oh, if you also do product marketing, put product manager, vertical bar, product marketing. By the way, do not lie. If you're a business analyst, put business analyst in there. Put every variation of job title. Now, by the way, you're going to do the other way. You're going to start searching for people. Because what we're looking for is we're going to start searching on people in the location who look, taste, and smell like you. Because what we want to do is people who look, taste, and smell like you with the job titles, we want to know where the heck do they work. Does that make sense? Then we're going to use keywords, and the last thing we're going to do is we're going to plug something in the last name field. And I'll talk about that in a second. Okay. So, the last name field. What do people put after their last name in LinkedIn? Certifications, professional titles, all that good stuff. So if I want to find people, if I want to find out who hires project managers, what I'm going to do is in the last name field, I'm going to search on PMP. So let me skip out of here and do an example. Skip down here. So let's say here I am. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in location. I'm going to look for Boston. And I'm going to search on job title. And I want to look for a product manager. And I want current. And what I'm looking for is who comes up. So I've got, so here I've got things like, oh, I got a couple of guys at Life Size. That's where I used to work. I got a bunch of folks at Life Size. They're all my first degree connections. Someone who works for Micron. Joy, Joy's a former, and where she's working, and let's go look where she's working. Oh, she's working at Idera Software. Anybody ever heard of Idera Software? One person. Okay? The idea is to start looking for companies. Now, one of the things you can do is, let's use the example, let's do Idera. I'm doing this on the fly. I'm gonna go over, click over on Idera. And I want to look at all their employees. So here's a list, 313. First thing I want to do, so what I'm going to do is, oh, there are 49 people working in Austin. I have found a couple of times where I found somebody working for a company, and I'm going, who the hell are they? And I discovered, like I said, I had one, I was looking for a couple of product manager, and we found a company that had 800 employees and they had 30 in Austin. Oh, they had a satellite office over on 360. You never know they were there. Better yet, I had a client who was contacted from a company out of LA. By the way, we went and looked, they had 5 employees in Austin. They let the people work remote. So, this is a way to start looking for people that, again, who are working, doing the kinds of things that you want to do, and see where they're working. Previously, when I did a product manager, I found who, oh gosh, he worked for Insights Global. Insights Global is an assessment company. And Insights Global, they happen to have a sales office here. I've known a couple of guys who've been there for a long time. Oh, by the way, they have a product manager here. Why is he here? Probably because he likes living in Austin. So one of the things you're going to do is you're going to find companies that may very well may have no physical presence here. But they'll hire you. Right? Because we're rapidly reaching a point where people don't care where you live. I'll use an example. In fact, I'm hiring a virtual assistant right now. I just talked to a lady up in somewhere outside of Indianapolis this morning. I deal with my webmaster, my editor. I've got, who else? I've got my intern. I've got about 5 people who support. I never meet them face to face. I deal everything through Dropbox and email. In other words, the company doesn't have to be here for them to be able to hire you. So the last thing I want you to think about is keywords. So I've got a client up in Virginia. She's 55 and she's remaking herself as a Ruby on Rails programmer. She actually came out of the nonprofit world as a PR person, as a communications person. So she is going through a Ruby on Rails boot camp. So what I have her doing while she's going on the Ruby on Rails boot camp, I have her go in, plug in her location. Then what we do is we plug in Ruby on Rails. And pull up, everybody has Ruby on Rails in their profile in her geography. Now, by the way, 95% of them are young guys. So what are we looking for? We're looking for folks who are a little older and are hopefully women. Well, we haven't found any older women. We found some guys over 40 and some over 50. Oh, by the way, where are they working? Mostly government agencies. Okay. That's where I have her go out and contacting people and reaching out to people. While she's in the class, she is out having coffee with people who are doing what she wants to do, who kind of look like her. But that also tells you, okay, these are organizations that are fair hiring. Because these companies that hire nothing but 25-year-olds, those of us who are follically challenged, you have a far less opportunity, particularly as, in her case, because she's brand new. So that's the first thing. I want you to build a list of about 25 companies. And again, what we want to do is use a combination of title, certifications for the location, and keywords.
I wanted to target startups. Is there a way to say look for companies under 20?
Yes, you can look for companies smaller than. Now, have you done startups here in Austin?
I'm going to start right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because I've been through the startup world, and the place I find the best to find startups is built in Austin. Built-in, everyone familiar with Built-in Austin? By the way, Built-in is actually, it's a group out of Chicago, and there's Built-in Austin, Built-in Raleigh, Built-in Charlotte, and Chicago. What's good on their website is they've got some of the genealogy of all the startups in town, who's got money. If you're interested in startups, the big thing is figure out where the money is. One of the things that has changed, and I've been through two successful exits, is nobody wants to IPO anymore. Everybody wants to build something, build it up just enough so they can go sell it. And that's a big cultural change. If you want, we can chat about that. Okay, so once I have done that, who's on Twitter? Okay, if you're not on Twitter, I want you to start getting good at it. Some recruiters in town, and you can do a search. And by the way, you don't have to have a Twitter ID to search. And it's I forget the URL. It's search.twitter.com is what will get you there. And the idea is to start, as recruiters start tweeting out jobs, and this is particularly true in the startup community, you will find this. So as you build your target list, I want you to do a couple different things. Number one, I want a list of companies. Go get a spreadsheet. I want you to start building, who's your contact at each company. What I want you to do is I want you to build a Twitter list. Who's done Twitter lists? Okay. By the way, I'll have a link. I have a video on how to do Twitter lists. What you can do is essentially and by the way, your list is going to be private. And the idea is you put different Twitter IDs on the list. And you will only see the tweets from those people. So what you can do is, what I recommend is you build a Twitter list for, an example of my video, I use Spreadfast, where I would put the Spreadfast company Twitter ID, I would put one or two of the executives, all the recruiters I could find, and some of the hiring managers. It's a real easy way to start discovering what the heck's going on. And an example was with Spreadfast, I list Matthew Lynn, who's a director over there. Matthew's a former Launchpad member. And what do I find about Matthew when I go on there? He's a triathlete. That's a good thing to know, because if I ever interview with him, I have something I can relate to. I'm a cyclist. I can't swim worth crap, but and I'm an ex-marathon runner. So I have something I can relate to. And the other thing I want you to do is I want you to build a list of every company page. Now, company pages are invaluable. The reason why is when you go to a LinkedIn company page, in the bottom right-hand corner, it will list, these are similar companies. So the idea is, basically, if someone's looked at this company's page, they can say, what other pages have people looked at? Now, for big companies like IBM, it's actually not a whole real useful. But I had a client out of Atlanta who, believe it or not, worked for a company. He sold equipment that packaged food for 20 years. And then got laid off. His big claim to fame, the equipment he sold, the current coffee machines with little cups. His machine put the coffee inside the cup and sealed it. By the way, one of the things I learned is coffee is highly flammable. So his claim to fame was he worked with the engineers to build a special enclosure for the company so that people didn't blow themselves up. He also sold Chubb machines. All this shit I learned. Chubb machines are things like, Jimmy Dean sausage. How do you get the sausage inside the little sleeve and seal them on the side, right? So the way we found his current employer was we used the company pages, and we just walked our way down. And where he is now hired at the companies that make sensors for his machine that he used to sell. Because what you'll find is, particularly as you get more niche, you will find companies that either are direct competitors or in adjacent industries. And that's one of the things you're looking for. And by the way, I don't care whether they have anybody working here or not, or whether they have a physical presence. In his case, he's an account manager. The company's based out of Madison, Wisconsin. He's in Atlanta. Oh, by the way, he got the job through what I refer to as a weak tie, someone he had worked with 15 years earlier, who was acted as a referral. So, the idea here is you build your list and then you start reaching out and connecting. First thing I want you to do is reach out to these nice people who are recruiters. Recruiters, their big advantage is they typically connect with everybody. Internal recruiters will connect with everybody inside the company. So what I want you to do is when you find a company, search on the job title, and this is in your handouts. This is the string I use. HR or human resources or recruiter or talent. I'll make a way, Julie, you'll find others. And by the way, this is in your handout. And if you didn't pick up a handout, it's up on the table. And what I want to do is I want you to find all the recruiters in the company. And I want you to start connecting to them. Now, Gary O'Neill says connect with all of them. I say connect with some. I'm not quite that spammy. And this is what I would send them. Never send them a connection request that says, I want to connect with you. It says, I'm very interested in marketing position at XYZ company. If there's a current position open, mention it. Are you the this is important. Are you the recruiter handling this position? If not, can you direct me to them? Because who do you want to talk to? By the way, this is also in your handouts. The idea here is you want to talk to someone. So I use the example. I was working with a client who wanted to get into an electronic records company. It's Cerner, based out of Kansas City. We found a senior recruiter, sent her a connection request. Sure enough, she connected right back. Now, we're trying to do the same thing with Epic, which is based out of Madison.
Mark,
Yep.
will that fit into the?
You're gonna have to play with that to make it fit, right? This is a bit wordy. But the idea is, oh, and by the way, you always want to finish it with, please accept this invitation to connect. Because what you want them to do is to accept it. Because what happens is you now become a secondary connection to everybody else in the business. Because they're typically their internal candidates. Now I said, with Epic, all their recruiters were very, very junior. And I could tell, because number one, I could look at their profiles and say, no one's been there less than a year. But two, they all use Gmail addresses as their address. And I said, okay. We had to connect with 4 people before we finally got someone to connect, to accept it. Okay. It's called persistence. Or as Gary says, waiting is not a strategy. So, the other thing I want you to do, this is a cool thing. When they accept it, I want you to tweet them. I want you to think like Twitter is like texting. If I want to get someone's attention, I will tweet them. Because if they're under 40, they pops up on their phone. In other words, I look at this as saying, I poke them. I want it, because all I'm trying to do is get their attention. I have found Twitter is incredibly powerful for that. And I don't care that everybody else in the world sees it. I'm just going to say, oh, by the way, thanks for connecting my LinkedIn. I would love to chat. Right? All I'm trying to do is, please talk to me. Because once you talk, you become human. So, here we are. We've connected. And the next thing I want you to do is, at each target company, I want you to reach out to people who are current employees. Again, when you send a connection request, the key piece is, I'm interested in your company. You got a moment to chat. Okay, you got 15 minutes for a phone call? Because first thing you're going to ask them is, you like working there? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to reach out to people who used to work there. Because one of the things you want to find out from them is why'd you leave? By the way, people who have left will very often give you a more authentic response on what it's like to really work there. Are you seeing where I'm going with this?
They'll definitely tell you the negative things, whereas the current employees will probably spin it because they're trying to keep a positive attitude.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get different, again, you're going to have to read between the lines But I use the example. I had a client who interviewed for a job with a company, and the company name had something to do with the sun and air movement. You can figure out what the name of the company is. And the 3 people we reached out to, why'd you leave? Every last one of them said, toxic work environment. Don't go there. Now, by the way, I pitched this at multiple times. I know Brian has seen me at product camp. And the one time I did this and I mentioned the company name and the guy in the back says, yeah, it sucks. The only reason I stay there is they throw stock options at me. Is that someplace you want to go work? Probably not. Yeah. It depends on how badly you need a job, right? So I'll use this. Yeah. So, what I want you to do is I want you to ask for AIR. And AIR stands for Advice, Insights, and Recommendations. Whenever you reach out to somebody, you don't say, get a job, can you help me get a job? No. First thing you do is, get a moment so I can ask some advice. It's a compliment. People rarely turn you down. When my son graduated from college in 2006, and thank God he got a job in 2007, he was applying for a job. He got a degree in business from the University of Dayton, especially in supply chain management. And he was applying for a job with Hewlett Packard in Sacramento. And he was pursuing his APIX certification. So I told him, I said, get on the APIX website for Sacramento and email every officer and say, can I have 15 minutes of your time so I can talk about applying for your job with HP. Now at the time, let's see, he was 22, which means dad was stupid. Anybody who's had children, guys, the male brain doesn't finish developing until 25. Which means they're stupid at that point. And so he says, no one's going to talk to me. I said, no, you're going to ask everybody for advice. Everyone gave me advice. Every last one. And one of the questions I had him ask was, he's pursuing the CPIM certification. Is it worthwhile? And what everyone told him was, I got my CPIM certification allowed me to keep my job through the dot-com bust. It kind of separated me during that time. Okay, that's valuable information.
What was the soft intro there that you suggested using?
AIR.
You mentioned just very briefly like what you would say once they accept you.
Is number one, do you have 15 minutes for a phone call so I can ask some advice? Number one, you want to make it easy. So asking for a quick phone call is much easier. And yeah, right? By the way, one of the, if you go on my website, the resources page, there's a book by a friend of mine on, I'll look up it. It's on around conversations, and she gives you scripts for everything, which is where it's really useful. But one of the things she talked about was, okay, you want to meet somebody who's really busy. So one of the things you can say is, can I come by your office? I'll bring you Starbucks. I'll be happy. What do you want? Cappuccino, I'm sorry, that's cheap. Do whatever you can to make it easy. Because what you want to do is you want to talk to them. Because then you become real. The key piece here is as you go through this process, as you're meeting people, I want you to always say thank you. So one of the key pieces here is, if I meet with John, and I say, you need to talk to Brian, when John's finished talking to Brian, you tell me. If Brian tells John to go talk to Linda, when you're done, you tell Linda, you tell John and me, or Brian and me. if then you say, oh, you need to talk to Mo, when you're done, you're gonna tell Linda, Brian, and me that how it went. In other words, you keep everybody in the loop. Hey, but this is as simple as doing a simple email. Because what you're gonna find is, most of the time when people help you, the only thing they get out of it is the good feeling that they helped you. So please frickin' tell these people. And what it also does is it deepens the relationship. So again, when my son was graduated from college and he was looking for a job and he was interviewing, he found a job with Cisco in Santa Clara, California, in their manufacturing group. And I'm a Northwestern grad. My Northwestern alumni directory is a little bit better than his University of Dayton. So I said, go into my alumni directory, find somebody who I can refer you to. And so what I did was he found the VP of manufacturing for Cisco, the guy who answered to John Chambers. He was a Northwestern grad. So I emailed him. I said, my son has turned into a fine human being. I'm trying to get him off my payroll. and I said, I'm very proud of my son. He's turned into a decent human being, which is very often all you really ask for your kids. And I said, can you give him a little bit of help? Now, by the way, he had a 2.9 grade point average. He was not going to get past the gatekeepers in HR. By the way, he got 3 phone interviews. He got this close to getting an on-site interview. And I say, each time when you get an interview, you email that VP and say, tell him what happened. And of course, his response to me each time was, you don't care. Each time he responded and said, thank you for keeping me in the loop. I believe that people who are willing to help you, you keep them in the loop. Now,
people in companies want to know how their internal processes work, especially vice presidents.
Yep.
They also want to know if they put out effort, whether it will matter, because even though it was your son, he doesn't know you.
Right.
If there's a buddy of his that he does know whose son, he wants to understand the process. If he gives somebody help, he knows more.
Yes, and by the way, if you find a job, let's say you find a posted job, the first thing I want you to do is go find an employee referral. Find somebody in the company who's willing to refer you in. And do not apply until they tell you to.
So the only thing caveat I'll add there is, that's what I
Yes.
strategy, but sometimes, and it doesn't matter how many times you try, you get crickets.
Yep.
So what I've done now is, and sometimes, or if you get a reply, the job posting is no longer available. So after a certain amount of time, what I'll do is I'll apply online, and I'll try to find out who the hiring manager is and send them an email as well.
Yes. The idea is you can hopefully find who the hiring manager is,
Or their boss.
or their boss, or find someone who's willing to refer you in. So I'll use the example, 2009, 2008, 2009. I'm working for Life Science. We're hiring like crazy. We're in the middle of the recession. Right? Launchpad, we were having meetings. I mean, we're getting about 70 or 80 in here. Back then, we were up to about 400.
Wow.
Okay? And I had people coming to me, hey, can you help me get this job? I said, sure. Have you applied? Yes. Okay. I'm still going to help them, but because they already applied, it makes me ineligible for the $2,500 referral bonus. Do you think if there's $2,500 on the table, someone would be motivated to help you?
Oh, yeah.
You bet.
You also have to be careful if you're going through a recruiter not to apply online. There are companies who will knock you out because they don't want to have to, if you apply it online and you get into the process, then they have to pay the recruiter as
Yes.
well. And so they'll just, they got 180 people, they'll just tell you, we're not even going to consider you. You go in the round file.
Yeah, the big key, and what he's talking is external recruiters. By the way, external recruiters and headhunters do not work for you. They get paid when you get hired. Now, they may be really nice. I have a client, or an ex-client now up in Stamford, Connecticut. where she was working with 2 different external recruiters. By the way, she got 2 job offers on the same day. So what she do, she started negotiating on one and started putting the other one off. Why did she put the second one off? Because by the way, you are not, even if you sign an offer letter, your job is not guaranteed until you walk in the door the first day. They can rescind it even after everyone's agreed. So, we were playing coy. And by the way, she now works, she's a chief of staff for a Fortune 100 chairman of the board. And she's making decent, a small 6-figure salary. So, good. Compared to her old job, she ended up taking about a 20% pay cut. But she was unemployed for about a year. The point here is the second recruiter says, wait a minute! You said you were going to take the job! And then the headhunter started trying to bully her. This is the one we were kind of put off to the side. Why? Because she saw dollar signs disappear. Significant dollar signs. And the point was just, but she's my headhunter. I said, no, she's not. She does not get paid by you. She does not work for you. They get paid. So people like these, they're good people. They're trying to do the right thing. They don't work for you. And one of the key things is, by the way, if you're working through multiple agencies, you only give one permission to submit your resume. If 2 of them apply, submit your resume, you're screwed. Because they'll almost automatically, it'll get.
You've got multiple job titles that you go for, you can have a recruiter for each job title.
Yes, different kinds of jobs. So here's what I want you to do. Once you get your job, the first thing, in the first month, I know this is little tiny letters up there. First month, I want you to put a calendar entry out there. And this, by the way, this is on your handout also, this sheet, is I want you to put 6-month goals in your first month. Put a calendar entry. When you reach 6 months, I want you to sit back, review and update your goals, put another one out 6 months further out. And I want you to update your LinkedIn profile and resume. Because one of the things, right, when you're the first 6 months of the job, you're usually drinking from a fire hose. You do not realize what you have accomplished and what you have learned. I'm a big proponent for every 6 months, reflecting back on your previous 6 months. Update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile. By the way, a good time to do this is July 4th and New Year's. And just put a calendar entry up. Say, I'm going to go up and do this. Okay. At 12 months, I want you to review and update your goals. I want you to update your LinkedIn profile. Oh, by the way, I want you to update your target list. I want you to start working for, who am I going to work for next? Now, I had one client who came out of IBM, came to get hired over at Qualcomm. He says, what about kind of employee loyalty? I said, loyalty. I'm sorry, they're not loyal to you. That doesn't mean you're going to leave.
They expect you to be, but they're not.
Right. So, at 18 months, I want you to review and update your goals, update your LinkedIn profile, update your target list, and start your search. The idea is, okay, typically for most of us who are a little older, it's going to take us 18 months to 2 years. So, start. So, if you do get laid off, you have connections at every single company that's capable of hiring you. In other words, you are never going to stop looking. Do not be a turkey. And the problem is so often, and I'm 60 now. And I got a job, right? I'm cool, I'm safe. I got a job. Well, no. So, with that, my website, my blog, my Facebook page is local.